Hi folks, this is All the Fruit, and today I'm visiting Villa di Taranto, which is being rumored to be one of the most beautiful parks in the world. Well, this oak tree here sure is beautiful. I don't even know the species, but it's gigantic. Something well over 2 meters thick. And they have a lot of other ancient trees. Today I'm here mostly to look for bananas, avocados and other subtropical fruit trees, but of course I'll try to show you everything else we can find in this huge and amazing park. We are here at the Lago Maggiore, at the border between Italy and Switzerland in the Alps, and I hope afterwards I will be able to show you some snowy peaks of the Alps mountains. And well, those lakes nestled between the peaks of the Alps have a very peculiar oceanic climate, I would say, at least for the Lago Maggiore. Well, coolish summers and mild winters. So here inside the Alps mountains there are areas which are USDA zone 9A, sometimes B, and some microclimates are rumored to be even USDA zone 10. But since the average temperature is quite low, the area is quite moist, and we are in the Alps, we basically have a mix of subtropical and alpine plants. Like here, this beautiful conifer avenue. So I would say the climate here resembles west side climate of some continents, so the climate of the British Isles or of Northern California, Oregon, Washington and so on. A mild climate, but not a hot or dry climate. It's very good for lush gardens, growing subtropical stuff, but also growing stuff that needs cool mountain climate. Here you can see the Himalaya palm growing together with firs and spruces. This is quite normal for the parks around Lago Maggiore. We are here in July. Spring and early summer were very moist. Actually, just 2 days ago we had a big rainstorm here, so everything is lush and green. I'm just coming from the Italian Riviera, an area also with USDA 9 to 10, also almost frost-free climate like here, but generally a much drier and hotter area than here, with much higher average temperature and especially summer temperatures. The stunningly beautiful hortensias are blooming, and the stunningly beautiful gardeners are weed whacking. Those Himalaya palms are everywhere around here. They are very popular in parks and gardens because they grow basically without any care. And actually they are even invasive. They are taking over the local forests in the Alps, a palm tree. Well, I think it's kind of befitting that it's the Himalaya palm that's taking over the Alps mountains. And here, no palms, but those are tree ferns, considered more or less a subtropical or tropical mountain tree. Those actually among the first trees that evolved in plant evolution, long before conifers or broadleaf trees. I love them, but it's quite rare to see them around Europe. I know them from mountain forests of Borneo on the equator, for example. Osmunda regales, this fern is very rare in most parts of Germany. I've rarely seen it outside of parks and gardens. Also, so many things I don't have much time today. Look, ferns growing as epiphytes on another fern. I don't have much time today because I have to visit a beautiful private collection later, but I still have to stay and enjoy here. Here you have a jelly palm, one of the hardiest palms in the world. It can grow all the way to Germany, and It produces really tasty fruits. Never seen it producing fruits in Germany. We would really like to know if it successfully fruits and ripens here. And here some date palm, but from this small specimen in this condition I cannot be sure which one it is. Several date palms are growing around here successfully. There are some limits to what you can do here in this area. There are still winters, and I read that the taro is being planted again every year. Taro is a tropical vegetable with very beautiful leaves. It also flowers, but I think the leaves are the biggest attraction. In the Mediterranean, in many areas, you can actually leave it in the ground all year long. But here, I don't know if they have never tried, but I definitely read they plant it every year, so they replant it again every year. So this might show the limits of this very, very mild climate, but not tropical climate. Yeah, when they say this is the most beautiful park in the world, this is one of the most beautiful parks in the world, I kinda can agree. Usually I love it when parks are collections of many thousand different species. This one would be beautiful even with a couple boring plants, but yeah, this beauty and this massive care combined with an incredible diversity here, for example, exotic cherries, is just mind-blowing. I love it. A dahlia labyrinth coming soon. Dahlia exhibition. Ah, well, somebody over there is already exhibitioning a lot. Well, working topless in that weather, I would walk around topless if I could hope not to be kicked out. A couple Cacti trees, they grow quite good here, quite well here. But before the Cacti was introduced to the west from East Asia, we had the lotus plum. This is basically a tiny version of the Cacti. They will grow to the size of cherries, and they're just as tasty as Cactis, but unfortunately, I guess because of the introduction of the Cacti, this one got thrown out the window. It's a good fruit tree. It grows in much colder climates than the Cacti. Put it back into the nurseries and fruit shops. Even in such a mild climate, you need greenhouses. Some are, of course, to breed new plants, which can be taken better care of while in a greenhouse. Others are, you have to protect a lot of things from frost, from wind, also from the sun. And of course, if you want flowers in spring, the winters here are longish and coldish, so you have to raise them in greenhouses if you want them to flower early, and if you want to show your visitors all that beauty quite early on. Here, for example, they are growing taro in pots. I wonder if they are heating those in winter. I mean, unheated greenhouses are nice, but heated ones can do so much more. Oh, roter Klarapfel. I think in my part of Bulgaria those are called popnikolovka, but the Germans call them roter Klarapfel. A tasty early summer apple. I'm not the biggest fan of apples, but in summer when you don't have a big apple diversity, I still munch on mountains of those. Oh, this was this strange fabaceae, something with yellow. Was it Xanthoceras, Xanthocladum, something? It's quite rare. A lot of nice, beautiful stuff. I don't even have time to admire everything. I'm here in the nursery. I'm not sure that this part is public. Yeah, if you have one of the most beautiful parks in the world and some of your plants die, you need to replace them ASAP. And with those hundreds of things, oh, camellia fruits. I always wanted to try camellia fruits, but they are unripe. Yeah, and with those many hundreds of young nursery trees and shrubs, they will definitely, they're definitely well prepared. One of my goals for coming here was to research bananas. What bananas can grow in this mild climate? Here is something, a young plant, not really identifiable. I would say it's just a Japanese fiber banana, but a man can dream. After all, here it's grown next to sugar cane, lychees, avocados. Not sure what this is. Looks like some Solanaceae. Yeah, well, sugarcane, lychees, avocados, and this banana growing together. I mean, yeah, a man can dream. Let's see what mature banana plants they have in this garden. Different types of taro and taro relatives. They seem to like them. Well, they're extremely ornamental. And here they have strawberry guavas, 2 plants, and carob. Wow, I wonder, I'm pretty sure you could grow strawberry guavas outdoors here. And what about the carobs? I mean, if they have the stuff here in pots, it's supposed to go outside. So those strawberry guavas, those carobs, even those lychees, even the mango, are they supposed to go outside? I mean, the mango would be a miracle. Everything else I can imagine, but the mango, I would need just half a day just for this nursery. Not even for the park proper, just for this nursery. Inside the big greenhouse, yeah, this is a heated one. Here is an interesting passion fruit. Not sure which one it is, but it's beautiful. Tibuchina. Wow, this is a Melastomataceae. Does it really grow here? Also tobacco, also beautiful bonsais. Now we are in July, so most of the stuff is outside. Little cacti. Most of the stuff is outdoors. A beautiful hibiscus, some more dahlias. A lot of thick berries. A whole giant board full of thick berries. But there are still a couple things in here. Beautiful. Amazingly beautiful. And they still haven't kicked me out of here. I'm really not sure if this is a public part. Money trees or Brazilian chestnut growing over there. Yeah, there they are. Yeah, this one definitely is being heated in winter. Okay, visitors on the other side, but how do I get out into the legal area? Here are the cactus plots. What many people don't know is that a lot of cacti can actually do with a lot of frost. There are cactus species going all the way into Canada, and I've seen them in Arizona mountains over 2,000 meters, and in the mountain, no, not 2,000, maybe 1,500 meters among Douglas firs. And for example, in the mountains of Peru, they can go up to 3,000, 3,500 more meters. It's more important to keep them dry than to keep them warm. Those here look like they're gonna go indoors for the winter, but basically you could make a compilation of a lot of cacti here. You just have to cover them with a roof. You don't even need walls, better no walls so that the wind can go through. Just cover them with a roof so that it doesn't rain so much in there. If you can control the moisture, then the cold is not a problem for you. Yeah, here, this is definitely some hardy cactus which can stand like -20 or more degrees. Also a couple more of those opuntias might be hardy. This cylindropuntia here is one of the species I've seen growing among dug firs in Arizona. And also agaves were growing up there. So if it's dry enough, those things can grow in cold areas, but since I see no weeds, just fresh gravel, I'm sure they are just being let out for the summer. Red cherry plums with red leaves, everything red about them. Always an eye catcher. A hedge made of pomegranates, beautiful. They are flowering. I'm sure they will also be fruiting here, but will they ripen properly? Ah well, those are not gonna be fruiting. This is a castrated tree. Look at that. Oops. Most of the sexual organs have been turned into additional petals. And so look at that. Everything is dropping to the ground. There are still some stamens and stuff among the petals. But I don't see a single fruit, so I guess no, this is a sterile plant. Those are like ornamental varieties made to have more beautiful, more full, more multiplied flowers, but no fruits. Acanthus, native to the Mediterranean, but already surviving also in parts of Germany. And here, daylily. They are tasty, very tasty flowers, but quite spicy. Also quite nutritious, I think. Sweet potatoes, a pale variety and the purple variety. I don't even know what 3/4 of the plants are. What are those two shrubs? They are so beautiful. Here they have planted a carob in the ground, but I'm sure this is just a temporary arrangement. This one is going into the greenhouse in winter. Lychee, a young lychee tree. This one is also going into the greenhouse in winter. Piper nigrum. Where is a piper nigrum here? I forgot the name of this thing here. I think I've seen it in the Arizona deserts. I don't see piper nigrum, but here are the strawberry guavas. Yellow strawberry guava. Tea. Sugarcane. Avocado. Musamani. Finally, a banana. And right next to it, a pawpaw. The Indian banana or poor man's banana. Yeah, so here in Villa Taranto Botanic Garden, they are growing musamani from Assam. However, in this temporary arrangement, together with sugar cane and carob and so, I'm sure in September or October all this goes back indoors again. And here right next to it the pawpaw, which is also a type of banana-like fruit, banana tasting fruit, but doesn't need to go indoors because it can perfectly survive around here. But musamani, okay, one more banana cultivated here. And from Assam, from the cold foothills of the Himalayas, I would actually try to keep this thing outdoors. Well, not all of it. You can separate it. Keep half of it in the greenhouse and try the other half outdoors. The bougainvillea, which grows outdoors pretty much everywhere in the Mediterranean, is also in this temporary arrangement. It would be so interesting to see how many of those things here also grow in the permanent outdoor plots. I mean, here they have tree tobacco and corizia and also some very interesting solanum, beautiful, growing. Well, all those will go indoors in winter. Now we are talking business. Those two huge eucalyptus Tecusvaldi or something like this. Oh my god, I can hardly read it. Big eucalyptus. Here another one. Those two are gonna be staying outdoors, and they've been staying outdoors for many decades already, judging from their size. Oops, what's growing here behind the eucalyptus? That looks like a big pitanga shrub. That's one of the things I wanted to check, if it's possible to grow pitanga around the lakes. Oh my god, if this is really a pitanga. If this is really a pitanga, it looks like a pitanga. but there is no label. Come on, give me a fruit or at least a flower so I can identify it. Wow. Did pitanga have those fine serrations on the leaves? Please tell me if this is a pitanga or not. Wow. Look at that. This has survived also well over a decade here. Wow. Well, it could be also some Tiashi. I mean, there are a lot of petals and flowers lying in a circle around this plant. Yeah, it could be some sort of camellia. Would be so much cooler if it was a pitanga. I know they can grow camellias here. I think a lot of those big bushes are camellias. No, it's not a pitanga, it's a camellia. The leaves don't check out exactly for a pitanga. What a pity. No, I didn't make this joke on purpose. Evodia danelli. Evodia is also called the stink ash. No, I'm not gonna touch it now. I know it's stinky. Also here, a nice old holm oak. This is a very important tree biogeographically because pretty much all the Mediterranean climate from Africa to northern Italy and from Spain all the way to the Holy Land, most of the area was dominated by the evergreen holm oak or stone oak. And there are a couple exclaves of it here at the southern slopes of the Alps. And the fact that it can grow very well here shows that this climate is definitely as mild, at least, as a Mediterranean climate. Well, it's a bit more Atlantic, but still, it shows that this area is not harsher than many parts of the Mediterranean. Very important climatic indicator. Well, all plants around here are very important climatic indicators, but this oak is the most important one for Mediterranean climate. Well, one of two. The other one is the olive tree. I'm sure we're gonna see it somewhere. Oh, here the money tree has been again planted in a temporary arrangement. Murraya paniculata or mock lime. Most of them unfortunately don't have labels. I really would like to know what this one is. Beautiful stuff, but not so many labels. This is some sort of Pittosporum. And also here, yeah, the Monstera. Also just in a temporary plot. It would be so great if Monstera would grow outdoors here. Wow, being able to cultivate such big and such beautiful and lush Victorias, that's quite rare. I'm sure for most of the year this greenhouse is being heated. Maybe not now in July, but most of the year, because those are really big, lush plants. I might never have seen such big, lush Victorias. 1, 2, 3 big plants. Basically, with a little bit of playing around, one of those leaves can support a person. No, not a person of my weight, but a smaller person. And also the seeds of the fruits are edible and are being harvested in some Asian countries. Also, what is this banana which is being grown in the hot greenhouse of Villa Taranto? Actually, I'm not 100% sure if the greenhouse is hot in winter, because it seems those arrangements in the background are also temporary. It's possible that everything, including the Victorias, is being taken out for the winter. I mean, I think they are heated because those red pipes here might be used to heat the water, but it's also possible stuff is being taken out. But still, it would be very interesting to know what bananas they are growing here, because Victoria can survive only in super hot equatorial climate. So basically, climate-wise, you could grow any banana together with it. Okay, I read the description for the giant water lily. They keep the water temperature at 30 degrees. That means, yeah, even in summer, you will have to heat the water here. I thought the heat coming out of this greenhouse was just because the sun was shining on that, but that wouldn't be enough to keep the water temperature at 30 degrees. Well, if you keep the water temperature at 30 degrees, which is still not enough because inside the flowers the plant creates an even higher temperature, quite an achievement for a plant that floats on the water. Well, if you keep the water at 30 degrees, the air is gonna be also at least 30 degrees, so yeah, you totally could grow any banana here. Never even heard of Hymenopteros henryi, and here is a giant ancient tree excavated by a lot of wildlife. Oh look, I can see to the other side. Well, good that I managed to see this thing before it topples over. If I were the gardeners, I would cut this back severely to give it a couple more decades, because this thing is not stable anymore, and even a blind person can see it as long as they crawl through the hole. Osage orange, I would say. Yeah, Maclura pomifera. Here an old, really ancient cherry tree. I wonder which one. No label, could be any type of cherry. Gummy berry or some relative. Quercus glauca. What this? A lot of places claim to be botanic gardens, and a lot of them charge a lot of money, but here I must have seen less than 10% of this place, and I would say every cent I paid 13 euros, every cent I paid was money well spent. I read somewhere those camellia fruits are edible, and some people are eating them when they are ripe. Wonder if I should bite off some, but I think they are not ripe. And well, this is a no drone zone, but helicopters are flying all the time. Well, I guess the helicopters are some sort of emergency stuff, so let them fly. They might be annoying, but if you need urgent surgery, you're happy about the helicopters. Stevardia monadelpha, beautiful bark. Oh, so many things I've never even heard the names of. Also so many different conifers. Beautiful. Also so many beautiful gardeners with weed whackers around here. Well, I guess you need to whack it to maintain one of the most beautiful gardens in the world. Otherwise you get one of the most beautiful jungles in the world. I like beautiful water creeks and parks and gardens. In the 20th century, a lot of creeks and lakes in parks and gardens were stinky, smelly, disgusting cloacae. Even in Germany now a lot of them have been cleaned up. But I think up here it was clean and beautiful all the time. And what is this? A huge part of the garden fenced off, proprietà privata. Pity. It looks like there are acres and acres and acres fenced off over there. Pity. Ilex latifolia from Japan. This thing is massive from an ilex. It's a holy relative. Also relative of the mate tea. A lot of people coming back from South America like to drink. And if I could guess what this is, I would say it's some pear, but no fruits and no label. They have been the staple food of people in the mountains for thousands of years, because here there is some agriculture, but growing wheat and other grains is quite difficult. So the chestnuts were the main providers of starch, of flour for bread and cakes and porridges and stuff. And you can also do a lot of other things with them. What is this? It's a stuffed animal. I thought for a moment it's alive. Yeah, Piantanel. Well, this was planted around 1600, so it's 400 years old. I just wanted to say it is definitely much older than the Botanic Garden, but here they give an estimate, planted around 1600. But it was pruned in the late 20th century. It was shortened down to 3 meters, about 2 meters thick, beautiful. A couple epiphytes growing there. I don't know what this is. Could be some viburnum, at least 2 big bushes. And also a lot of Polypodium vulgare. This fern produces a very sweet substance which doesn't have calories like sugar. But yeah, beautiful, beautiful ancient beautiful ancient chestnut tree. I love it. Those are still to be found from time to time in the Mediterranean, and especially in sub-Mediterranean mountains, like higher mountains around the Mediterranean. But I'm always happy when I see one of this size here compared size-wise to the people. The incredible plethora of magnolias you can grow in this mild climate. Probably dozens of species and many hundreds of hybrids and varieties. Look at it, those all magnolias. And I bet you will rarely find two of the same growing here next to one another. Now I'm taking the last part back. For example, this beautiful grove here is mostly Magnolia soulangeana. I saw labels on 3 trees already, and then I can assume that most other trees in between are the same. Osmanthus fragrans, the Chinese drink a tea made from this, or they mix it with green tea. Nice, huge shrub. Oh yeah, the Vidia involucrata, the handkerchief tree. It has some, well, you could call them bracts, which are really white and about the size of, no, they are not anymore, they are just the undersides of those leaves. Well, they are white and beautiful, and Père David, what was it, Jesuit explorer of East Asia, who is one of my idols, discovered this. And actually it was his last big discovery before he died, and when he showed the approximate location to a guy who wanted to collect this thing for a British nursery. This guy traveled to the giant extensive Chinese mountains, and while asking for something like this, he failed miserably. He still considers this one of the biggest failures of his career, because instead of the handkerchief tree, he discovered the kiwi. The kiwi, a multi-billion industry, and he considered it a fail. He created a multi-billion industry. Until then, the kiwi was just some rare Chinese mountain fruit, but he still discovers it a failure that he didn't find the location of this thing here. Thamus communis, a Mediterranean Dioscoracea. Dioscoracea or yams. Some of them have edible tubers, some have poisonous ones. This has been eaten during periods of big famine, but I wonder if it has nourished more people or made more people sick or even killed them. Yams are dangerous, folks. If you don't know how to deal with them, stay away from them. Oh yeah, and this old Vidia involucrata tree is one of the famous old trees of the Botanic Garden. Oh look, dinner is served. Hundreds of daylilies in different colors. I'm really getting hungry, because I could munch my way through this flower arrangement. But actually no, if you try to eat too many, it's too much. Eating a couple and mixing them with other fruits, with other foods, or just eating 1 or 2 flowers as a snack, that's the trick. Beautiful old bridge. Also, yeah, now I see where all the nursery things go. Look at that, they've planted so many in the last years. I wonder what was here before, because when those things grow big, the impression of this little valley is gonna be lost, more or less. Oh, I think I read something about the thing that this valley is artificial, and that this was one of the biggest achievements of the garden. Did they write about this valley? Probably. Achtung! Unüberschreitbare Zone! Look out! Impassable area! No drone zone! Il prato di Villa di Taranto è curato con il robot. So even the gardeners are forbidden from entering this lawn. There is only some type of Roomba which can rummage through here. Beautiful mansion. The lawn is a little bit boring though. Oh, speaking of the kiwi, here it is. Actinidia chinensis. Actually, there are lots of other even much better kiwis in China, which only now get introduced to the West. I made quite a sizable kiwi collection in Heidelberg, but because this guy was asking for something that looked like the handkerchief tree, the Chinese peddled him this one, those hairy things. Imagine he had been asking for something that looks like a cherry, would have the tiny beautiful red kiwi berries growing everywhere now, and not those hairy things. I like kiwis, but why did they have to introduce those hairy ones? I don't like the hairy stuff about them. Also, come on folks, this fence. Fremontodendron, beautiful tree from California, I like it. A couple times they tried to introduce it to Germany, but in our coldest winters it kind of fails. Well, the kiwis, yeah, kiwi vines of this size are not uncommon, are not too uncommon in the area around Heidelberg. This one can be about 40 years old at least. Oh, actually, yeah, another thing I wanted to visit around here where the kiwis. There is a villa on one of the other lakes, which has the first kiwi plant of Italy. I mentioned the multi-billion industry. Well, the biggest producer of kiwis is China. But China has 1.4 billion people and has thousands of years of a head start. Guess who the second biggest producer of kiwis is? And the biggest exporter in the world. Everybody will say New Zealand. Nope, wrong. It's Italy. They are the second biggest producer, despite there being 20 times more Chinese, and the Chinese having 20 times more time in history to develop their kiwi production. And the first kiwi vine that came to Italy is actually grown in the gardens of one of those mansions along one of those lakes. Yeah, I always wanted to visit it. Maybe not this time. But on the other hand, it's very tempting. It's not so often that you can pinpoint the father of a multi-billion industry. But no, here along the Lago Maggiore, there is, for example, the father of a Swiss variety of outdoor avocados, growing outdoors in the snowy Alps. I think this is just as impressive. Maybe this time I'll go for the avocados, next time for the kiwis. When I look at this park, it reminds me of the Marburg Botanic Garden 20 years ago when I studied there. Big park, really beautiful, very well maintained. Now they have fired a lot of the stuff of the Marburg Botanic Garden, so it's still really big and really beautiful, but not that tidy anymore. But a lot of things remind me of the Marburg Botanic Garden. Only that there it's basically too cold for chestnuts. Look at this beautiful double chestnut. Could also be around 200 years old at least. And since there are two stems, maybe the original stem died, and maybe the original stem was even much older, because I don't think anybody would voluntarily plant a two-stemmed chestnut. But if the main stem dies, they will maybe leave two of the suckers to become new producing stems. Also, when we are visiting Villa Taranto, don't forget there are thousands of other impressive mansions and parks and gardens around Lago Maggiore. Basically driving around for weeks around this one lake would still get you a lot of new interesting things. Well, like this avocado which grew in a backyard. Actually, somebody mentioned he wants to do some avocado backyard searching. Where was it? In the Pacific Northwest. Just drive around and look into everybody's yards in the Pacific Northwest in order to find some avocados. Be careful, dude. If you do this around here, well, thousands of people are gonna film you, because there are probably more surveillance cameras than people. If you do this somewhere in Oregon, Washington, there are more shotguns there than people. I don't think they will just be content with filming you. They might point something, pointier and boomier at you. Beautiful. Oh, here we have something really interesting. Ficus pumila, the creeping fig. It grows all the way from the equator to the Italian lakes, to the Alps. Incredible plant with an incredible geographical amplitude. It comes from southern China, and it's even trying to creep into Germany, but for now the winters every couple years, the harsh winters every couple years still stop it. Beautiful water lily pond, beautiful trees around it. Those trees are not mostly being pruned into that shape. They have just planted a lot of weeping trees of different varieties. Here a weeping elm, a weeping birch, a weeping sophora, a weeping cherry, and so on and so on and so on. No, I'm not gonna weep, I'm happy. A huge lotus pond. Well, I've talked often enough about the lotus effect and all the edible parts of the lotus. I'm wondering, well, in the tropics you have a lot of those ponds. Even in the Mediterranean, the lotus can survive all year round. But here, I would say it's too cold. I'm really wondering, do they take all those plants out, all the rhizomes, not the whole plant, just the rhizomes in autumn, and replant them in spring? It looks really lush and well developed for that. I really have to ask them. That really interests me. Can lotus survive here? Because lotus is not only a beautiful ornamental, it's also a cash crop for the beautiful flowers, fruits and leaves for the flower industry, and also all those edible parts. If you grow the stuff here and produce food from it, that would be amazing, man. This young banana cluster, youngish banana cluster here in Villa Taranto shows no fruits or flowers, so it's not identifiable. What happened to this part of the lotus patch? Look, everywhere around here it's lush and beautiful, but here they are not doing well. If all of it looked like this, I would say no need to even try growing lotus here. What's the reason? Does it have something to do that the water is coming from here? They don't like the fresh water, they prefer water which has been rotting much longer. Yeah. Why do you think right around here, around this water source, the lotus is looking so bad when just a couple meters further it's looking so nice? Poncirus trifoliata, a very hardy citrus relative growing here outdoors, but all the other citruses I've seen so far are in pots. However, you can grow citruses outdoors in the soil here, but I haven't seen any in this garden yet. I've seen some around Lago Maggiore, but none in this garden yet. The kumquat, for example, is a very frost hardy citrus. This would grow really well out here. And here a lot of really well developed Musabasio in Villa Taranto. They are still looking a little bit puny because the winter was quite cold. The spring was also quite cold and rainy. They would look much better in September, October, but I guess then they will freeze back in winter. Clearly identifiable by the huge yellow inflorescences, huge yellow bracts, and the plethora of tiny fruits. Also, like most Musabasio I've seen around here, the oldest tall leaves are pretty damaged. There must have been some strong wind here in April or May or June. Well, in the tropical areas where they have mangoes and chirimoyas, they said they had some cold, strong eastern wind in April, but I would say here those leaves were not that size in April, or maybe they were. Maybe it was the same wind that damaged them, maybe a later event. Must have been several weeks ago already, because all the new leaves are undamaged. Also, I'm wondering about all those water lilies. Some of them I think are tropical or subtropical, and maybe they also take them out for the winter and bring them to the greenhouses. So many questions. A couple passion flowers here, doing okay, but not too great. Look here, another water source at the lotus pond, and around the water source the plants look bad too. Really interesting. Is it the water movement, or is it the chemistry or the temperature of the fresh water? Must be the fresh water, because at both water sources they are very bad looking patches. Rheum palmatum, a rhubarb species from where? No idea, but it's a rhubarb species I've never seen before. And this one looks like a Heracleum. Don't touch it. Oh yeah, Heracleum mantegatianum. Incredibly phototoxic. Stay away from it. It will burn your skin like fire. Did I mention so many beautiful little shrubs and trees? I actually like lawns with hundreds of those beautiful little shrubs and trees. They're so beautiful. Oh, and talking about beautiful little shrubs and trees, I also love beautiful gigantic shrubs and trees. This must be the big Davidia involucrata or handkerchief tree, because it's even much bigger than the other one. And planted in 1938. This one is only 80 something years old. Amazing. I would have said 150 or so. Beautiful. So many people climbing around of it. You can see the smooth spots in the bark, but I'm not gonna do it. It would be good for size comparison, but wow. I'm honored to be in the presence of such a beautiful tree. And also in the presence of all those beautiful little shrubs. I love them. I want to hug them all. I want to roll among them. Oh, they are so cute. And of course with the beautiful panorama of the Alps in the background. Normally a lot of those higher peaks should be covered in snow. I think somewhere it should still be possible to see a couple covered in snow, but climate change is real, folks. Down here you might celebrate because you can grow more and more interesting subtropical plants in the foothills of the Alps. But remember, the plentiful water here, a lot of it comes from the melting of the glaciers. And yes, it is in the course of nature for a lot of it to melt every summer. But a lot of those glaciers have melted completely. And when they are gone, the safety of your water supply here is also gone. The Po Valley is the breadbasket of Italy. It's the main reason Italy can feed itself and export a lot of agricultural products. But it's being watered by the runoff from the glaciers in the Alps. That's the reason they can even have a large-scale rice industry here, the biggest in Europe. But if the glaciers are gone, not only will those slopes and those gardens become brown and much less beautiful, but also the food supply of dozens of millions of Italians will be in jeopardy. An olive tree. I told you about the holm oak. This is like the natural indicator for Mediterranean climate. The agricultural indicator for Mediterranean climate is olive tree, where you can grow them successfully, like they don't freeze back every couple years or decades and they produce. You have Mediterranean climate. I'm not sure if there was a large-scale olive oil production. Here, by the way, the snowy Alps in the background. You can still see a bit of snow here, but nothing like a couple decades ago. Well, I don't know if there was a big olive production around Lago Maggiore. Maybe you can check that. Around Lago di Como there is still a sizable olive production because Italians like their local olive oil and are ready to pay crazy money for it. And around Lago di Garda there is an even bigger olive oil production. And north of Lago di Garda is the northernmost commercial traditional olive producing area in the world, all here in the Alpine lakes. But Lago Maggiore, the westernmost of the big lakes, has a cooler and moister climate than the more eastern ones. It might be maybe not too cold for olives, but too wet. By too cold and too wet, I mean too cold and too wet for them to be feasible as an agricultural crop. Single trees apparently survive quite well for several decades. What was this? Cornus florida or cosa? I always confuse them. Well, definitely one of the best edible dogwood species. Some dogwood species have quite good fruits, and it's one of them. Echevortia papyrifera. I've never even heard of this plant, but papyrifera means bearing paper. The Chinese not only invented paper, they invented more ways of producing paper than anybody else in the world. They have so many different plants from China and so many different, very different ways of producing paper, and apparently this is one more. A very interesting observation. Seems like the taro is surviving in the compost pile. This is most probably a piece of ricin or a tuber which was thrown here last autumn. However, of course, such a big compost pile is producing a lot of heat. It's not necessarily indicative of how well it would survive in the soil. Yeah, compost is a very good way to heat your plants if you do it right. I like rummaging through trash. Well, by trash I mean compost. Look at that. Banana leaves. So it's not impossible that the banana sprouts here. What else do we have? Well, on the other side was the taro. Apart from that, just the normal weeds everywhere. Nothing too exciting in that compost pile. Well, I'm just looking very quickly for big plants. If I started looking into all the small weeds here, I would find a lot of exciting things. Here, for example, a tiny seedling of Acar, most probably palmatum, not something you see every day. But no, for now, no big naturalized crazy ornamentals in this pile, but you never know. You check 10 such piles, at least one will have something great, and the taro is actually quite interesting. They planted here, they replanted again every year, but apparently it did survive in the compost. The flowering quince is fruiting. It's an ornamental in warmer climates, but in cold climates where you cannot grow real quinces and you cannot grow many other fruits, this is a major fruit shrub. The fruits are quite sour but of a very nice flavor, and you can make a lot of lemonades and jellies and ice creams and desserts with them. Wonderful stuff. Here is a greenhouse. Is it a heated one or an unheated one? Oh, 2020. What crazy time that was. Now that we are in World War III, everybody has forgotten about COVID. Oh no, I'm gonna get demonetized. Well, pepper growing here. Strawberry guava. Oh yeah, it's a heated greenhouse. See the radiators? So even here in this mild climate, there is a lot of stuff they want to grow. Mock lime, but cannot grow outdoors. What was this called? Mickey Mouse plant. Ochna atropurpurea. Acocantera. So even this cannot grow outdoors here. Pity. Schefflera. More passion flowers. Wait, this was one of those. Was this one of those fruit trees I saw in Hanbury Botanic Garden? I always forget the name. The fruits are a little bit velvety. Where is your sign, bird? Where is your sign? Passiflora purple rain. I think this should be able to grow outdoors. Can't you grow some less hardy things indoors? Also, avocados should be able to grow outdoors. There are avocado groves on the shores of Lago Maggiore. Why do you put them indoors? Put mangoes indoors. Baculsia myrtifolia. It's a myrtaceae, but does it make fruits? So much nice stuff which pretty much all of those things would grow outdoors around Monton or Sanremo. Here a nice big strawberry guava. I think this could even grow outdoors in winter around here. But it looks like they are digging out all the little guava trees they have outdoors. Another beautiful water lily pond. They have so many super beautiful water lily ponds. Also a cactus arrangement here. Those, I don't know, man. The substrate is old because there are so many weeds in here. Does this stuff survive all year round outdoors? It would be quite amazing for some of them. For agave attenuata or all the aloes and so on. And this thing, I think this is in the Vitaceae. I think they still get put inside in winter. Although some of them would totally thrive here in summer, like this Cylindropuntia here. What I wanted to say is this beautiful water lily pond. And they have been removing a lot of water lilies. Good that I don't have a garden, or I would really be tempted to take one of those. I mean, since they're gonna throw them away anyways, but no. Let's not do this. Also, I have nothing I can do with any of those. Pity, 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 pity. Pineapple guava, this wonderful fruit. Well, this wonderful tree grows and fruits quite well, even in Heidelberg, producing like crazy. Yeah, one of the best guavas for cold climates. I also love this maple with this beautiful red bark. It's so beautiful, it starts to hurt my eyes. But the one thing I'm missing are fruit collections. Okay, I saw a couple of those things which are being put indoors again in winter. But apart from that, not so much. You can grow a lot of not so hardy fruit trees around here. Where are they? Another banana in Ventricosum maurelia, if I'm not mistaken. Those like to overwinter at 10 or 15 degrees, but they don't need light. You can basically chop off the leaves and stuff them into a basement. That's how they grow them in Germany. They're reasonably popular in Germany. Very interesting plant. I wonder if you could leave some of them outdoors here. Would be worth a try. Did I mention how beautiful this is? You need a really skilled gardeners, many of them. A really good garden architect. And people with great taste and a ton of money to achieve something like that. It's just mind-blowing. Yummy little ornamental apples, almost ripe. The berberis collection, I love those. There are a lot of tasty edible species and also a lot of really bad tasting ones. Oh, the guy up there is not joking, he's not weed whacking, he's chainsawing. Beautiful ancient beech tree, but they don't get too ancient. 300, 350 years at max. This is probably well over 150, and yeah, most of them don't make it further than that. Pity. Beautiful tree, but the droughts of the last years, beeches are suffering a lot. They like a temperate climate. And here, yeah, I mean, it seems like they want to preserve at least the beautiful base, the first couple meters, but yeah, it will probably give the tree a couple more years or even decades, but it's not gonna save it forever. Oh, and I love it how the Humboldt cherry plum has got its own place, being honored at least a little bit. It's the most underappreciated fruit in all of Europe. And here Prunus lusitanica. This one grows wild in Portugal and with some other subspecies on the subtropical Macaronesian islands. Beautiful. Some people with really good taste and really good knowledge and really good money are taking care of this garden. Collection of ornamental apples, not in season. Also, I missed this old strawberry tree back there. I'm not going back right now. Also stunningly beautiful views in all directions. Yeah, but don't let the trees grow too high and too big, or you lose all those views. That's the thing with gardens. Yeah, you put one thing there, you lose another. Too many trees, you lose too much of your lawn, and you lose too many of your views. And yeah, if you want everything to be nice in 5 years, in 50 years maybe, it's gonna be too much. Yeah, those are crazy dilemmas when making the perfect garden. Is it supposed to be the perfect garden in 5 weeks, in 5 years, or in 5 centuries? Another exotic cherry collection. They are put here for their ornamental value, but trying all the different fruits, yes, they will all be bitter and not great to eat, but bitter and not great to eat in many different ways, which you can experience when trying them all one after the other. A beautiful, stunning park. Yeah, one of the best I've ever seen. Yeah, you can put it as one of the most beautiful parks in the world. Oh, that was a big piece coming down. The only two things I'm missing is they don't experiment enough with subtropical or other non-hardy fruit trees, and the things they experiment with, they put them back into the greenhouse for the winter. I would leave a lot of, well, I would get a lot more of those, and I would leave a lot more of those outdoors to test what is possible around here. The park is on a promontory in the lake. The water is working as an air conditioner. The mountains are protecting it from northern, eastern and western cold winds. Everything is open only to the south, but not as open, not that open so that the cold winds from the Po Flat from the south can come up here. I think they could do a lot more with subtropical fruit trees here. But okay, maybe it's not their main goal, but yeah, anyways, beautiful, incredible. Oh, and look at those Himalayan palms. Nobody has planted them in this wall, but it kind of shows the genius of the gardeners. They let those Himalayan palms and this Mahonia live inside this rubble wall. They might have to repair the wall 10 or 20 years earlier because of this, because of course they are destabilizing the wall long term. But for the couple decades until then, they have a stunning display of tall palms growing out of the wall. And also, of course, look at that, all those beautiful, beautiful herbs and weeds and ferns growing out of this wall. You can only do that where you have enough moisture, either precipitation from the rain or some water running down the wall from groundwater or a pipe. But then you can create stunning displays anywhere. Another stroke of genius here. They've cut most of the grass, but the area with beautiful flowers they have left untouched. If the grass is a couple centimeters taller, nobody will get hurt, but people will admire those beautiful flowers. Also look here. Cutting the grass regularly, yes, and they do it here, maybe once every 2 months or so. If they would cut it every 2 weeks, they would just have a boring green lawn. But now they have a beautiful, quite short flower meadow. Yeah, you know, one of those parks where you have only very little to add, very little ideas how they can improve. Where 95% of everything is all right. Yeah, I love it. This park, totally all the fruit approved. If you ever come to the Italian lakes, definitely visit the park of Villa Taranto. Like most of the really supreme parks here, it costs money, but at least you don't have to come by boat, because all the other first-class botanic gardens in Lago Maggiore, you have to pay through your nose to visit them, and you have to pay through your nose for a boat to even get to them. More beautiful hortensias. I love them. And more of those walls overgrown with vegetation. I love those too. I love this place. Maybe I wouldn't visit it every day. Well, because the price adds up and they don't have a lot of fruit trees, but I would definitely come and visit it again.